Hello everyone and welcome to another video. This one's going to be a bit different because, you know what, I kind of felt like doing a discussion video. I don't normally do these, but they can be a bit of fun and I just like talking to you guys, and some of you have some very interesting things that you say. I love to read the comments. Yeah, I know you always get like a couple of people that, well, I don't even know what they're saying sometimes. It's a bit of gibberish, but most of you guys say some excellent things, and it kind of sparked me to want to make a discussion video. And this time it'll be on the kind of level 90 thing, buying a level 90 and the pre-ordering of the 90. I did a video a while back kind of talking about the instant 90 with the pre-order when that kind of was first announced, just telling you guys that that might be a thing. And it looks like it will be. However, now it won't just be with the pre-order, it will actually be buying a level 90 for $60. So I kind of wanted to talk about this, and I want to always put your comments, if I can, in the video, so that you guys can also see what you were saying, because some of you had some very interesting things. And of course, it was extremely mixed. Some of you thought it was the worst idea since ever. And others of you were sort of like, yeah, no, it sounds good. And others of you were like, yes, this is awesome. So I wanted to talk about it. So let's get started. So I think first off, we'll just kind of go through everything. And then at the end, we can sort of decide whether this is good or bad. And of course, please let me know your thoughts in the comments section below or on Facebook or Twitter. Anyway, I think I have rambled enough. Let's actually get moving this time. And now the first thing I really wanted to talk about, and this is one of the things that people have been talking to me about, and that is, so you're going to buy, you know, you got World of Warcraft, you got the Burning Crusade, though I don't think you need to buy the Burning Crusade anymore, but you've got to buy like Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Mists of Pandaria, then you buy your sub fees, then you buy your character, and you know all of those games and pretty much all of those expansions that you've just paid real money for, you're now going to pay even more money to now not experience what you have bought. So it just, they kind of said that, and it just thought to me like, wow, that's actually a thing. You've just spent a whole bunch of money, and now you are spending even more money to skip what you've just bought? That seems a bit odd, doesn't it? It seems a little bit strange. Wouldn't you want to kind of experience it at least once, just kind of go through everything and really see what it's like? And yeah, sure, it can be a bit grindy sometimes, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, let's think about when you first started playing WoW. When was probably the time that you had the most fun? I mean, now that you're a bit more experienced, you're probably having a bit more fun in different ways. But I remember from when I first started playing WoW, I came in and there I was, a level 1, just lost in the biggest world I had ever seen ever. And it was kind of an awesome feeling. I loved it. It was kind of nice being a microbe, whereas in most games it's like, hey, welcome hero, please go and smite 50,000 of these, because you are just so awesome. Whereas in WoW it was like, hey, if you want to take more than one of these at a time, I will go talk to your spirit healer, because you'll be meeting her shortly, and I just want to make sure everything's sorted out paperwork-wise for you. And you're going to die. A lot. So it was just kind of one of those things. I remember when I first started my Warlock, and I was wandering around, and I remember hitting level 20 and getting my first mount, my fiery steed of awesomeness, and it was great. It was really fun. I think I would have missed out a lot if I'd just, you know, paid some money to skip all of that. And I mean, you might say that you can have that same experience when you're just boosted to 90, but can you really? Can you? You're already quite a high level, just boom, instantly. You've skipped 90 levels of content as it is. You're going to miss out on a lot of that sensation. And I know that a lot of you probably already know me well enough to know that I hate leveling. I absolutely hate it. I got to level 45 with my Warlock, and then I just sort of got totally bored of it and rolled a Hunter, managed to grind all the way to 55 so that I could roll the Death Knight, and then eventually take my first character to 80 because of how much I despise leveling. So it seems a bit odd that I would say that it's a good thing, and I still stand by that. I still think it's a good thing. It is grindy, and it does suck, and perhaps, Blizzard, maybe you should work on that a little bit more, rather than getting people to skip all of the content that they've already bought. That seems a little bit odd. What do you think? What do you think about that? And then I know from a lot of your comments, some of you were saying, for example, going to be hilarious entering LFR at level 100 with people that have only played the game for a week. And a lot of you kind of shared that same kind of feeling, that now with this level 90 instant thing, basically they'll level for 10 levels and they're going to be super noob. Because, You know, when you first started, you started at level 1 and you got all the way to max. The slow way. And you learned your tune and you did dungeons and you did, you know, battlegrounds and everything. And I would say to you, you probably learned quite a bit about your tune. You probably got a lot more experience out of that. But let's be honest, when you hit max, you sucked. I sucked. You probably did. I mean, when I first hit, you know, max, I didn't even know what a raid was. I had no idea. I didn't know about gems, I didn't know about enchants, I didn't know about rotations or any of the resources available, and I'm going to make a separate video talking about the new players and everything, and it'll have a little bit of this in it, so maybe you should go and watch that discussion video after this one's done. I'm just kind of doing a batch of them because, yeah, I've got a lot to talk about. You guys have given me some interesting things to think about. So now what I really want to think about is, really, is that going to change anything? I mean, they've only played WoW for a week, they suck. That's true. I can think of people that have played WoW for years and they still suck. So I don't know if that's really going to change it. They might be a little bit worse, but I can think of people that leveled like 5 tunes and I'd still rather not have them in an LFR. I think that the people that hit the instant 90s and do those 10 levels, they're probably going to be a lot worse than those people. I mean, denying that's a lot of experience they've missed out on. So I think denying that of me, that would be foolish of me to try and deny that they would be worse at the game. But at the same time, I don't know how much worse, really, if you think about it. When I first was playing WoW and I hit max level, that's when I really actually started learning my character. When I was leveling, I mean, let's be honest, leveling's not difficult. It's not difficult. It's not even remotely difficult. It's grindy, it is boring, it might have the occasional challenge, and sure, you can learn a lot out of the dungeons, and I did, because I did those while I was leveling. I even did a couple of battlegrounds, and wow, did I suck. I was terrible. I was terrible. I had a Voidwalker pet up the entire time. I was terrible. They need to invent another word for how bad I was. Though it was awesome, and it was still fun. But at the same time, I only really started learning my character. I only learned about PvP, resilience, and all this other stuff once I hit max level, because then I wasn't really leveling. I was learning my character so that I could enjoy the end game content. So I think that people will probably be worse, yes. But I'm making a separate video on perhaps, you know, talking about the new players and the noobs, and maybe a different way of thinking about that in another discussion video. But really, I'm not sure how much worse it's going to be. Maybe a little bit, but I wouldn't say it's going to make a massive difference. I mean, you're going to meet people in LFR that have boosted their character into 90, and you are going to cry tears of blood and frustration as they do the dumbest things. But you do that already with people that have leveled normally. So, how much of a difference is that really going to make? We'll have to wait and see, and again, I'm interested to think, you know, we'll see what you have to think about this and what your thoughts are, because some of them are really, really interesting. And then I really wanted to talk about some of the other comments. I've got my comment page up here so that I can scroll down and check what you guys have been saying. And one of the other things you've been saying is because someone was saying this is a terrible idea because then everyone will have level 90s if they buy them, and there's really no challenge to the game except the level 10s the 10 levels you have to get to level 100. Okay, I'm going to bleep out a little bit of that, just a little bit, that little end bit there. But a challenge to the game, leveling as a challenge. I've said it already. It's not. Is it really that hard? Do you find leveling that difficult? Let me know in the comments. I don't think it's that challenging. I think it's long and it's slow and it's laborious, but I could barely. I didn't even know what a raid was. My DPS was a tragedy. I was bad, and I could level fairly easily. Actually, I could like take 10 mobs on, use my Voidwalker pet, shield myself, make it rain fire upon them, and feel like a total badass, but I was still terrible. So, is it really taking away the challenge? I don't think so. I wouldn't call leveling much of a challenge. I would call a lot of the other content a lot more challenging. Particularly the endgame stuff is when it starts actually becoming a challenge. And I wouldn't call leveling a challenge. I would call leveling a long, slow, boring experience. But For a little while at least. It's pretty interesting, and it can be quite fun, especially when you've just started out. You should probably level at least once, because it is, you know, you want to enjoy that content that you have paid for. And now the main thing, the thing that really gets under my skin and makes me angry about this is, wow, why are we paying for level 90s? We already pay sub fees, and we already bought the game. It's not like it's free to play. I mean, you have the in-game store as well. How much are we going to have to pay for? It's like you're kind of going with a free-to-play model while still making it not free-to-play. And that really, really, really pisses me off. Level 90s, leveling up to level 90 is not a challenge. It's long and it's slow and it's boring. And I don't really object to the fact of being able to skip that too much. What I do object to, however, is the principle of, it's not free to play, can you please stop charging for things like that? I mean, I don't really mind Recruit a Friend, because, you know, you're bringing your buddy in, and yeah, you get a bonus out of that, and WoW's getting more money out of that, but it's kind of different. It feels different to me. And it feels like they're breaking the whole principle of, we're paying for this. This isn't free-to-play. Stop trying to have the free-to-play model and the sub fees and the base game that you pay for. And I would say that, for example, Rift, you have potions that you can buy to increase your leveling speed, and you have a whole bunch of stuff that you can buy in the store, just tons of stuff that it's not actually game-changing. I mean, most of it's just like pets or random stuff. None of it's really particularly game-changing. And you know what? Rift is free to play. So how could you object to that, really? It's not pay to win. You have the in-game store, much like you have in WoW, though there's a lot more stuff there, obviously. But it's free to play. WoW, you aren't free to play. So I would object to the being able to buy things just on the principle of, WoW, you aren't free to play. Enough now. This is ridiculous. But at the same time, why don't I object to the pre-order? I kind of like the pre-order 90 thing, actually. I kind of like it, and the reason for that is because it's a once-off thing. You know, it's not like they're just going to be constantly having this service available with the pre-order. I mean, they are going to have this service constantly available, don't get me wrong, that's the way it's currently looking. But with the pre-order in itself, you get a free 90 when you pre-order. That feels kind of okay with me. It's a once-off thing. Hey, I can think of a character I'd like to get to 90, just kind of once-off, and I'm going to be buying Warlords of Draenor anyway, so it doesn't feel like I am being bludgeoned and mugged for money. So it feels a little bit different there. But again, let me know what you think. I mean, you guys have very, very differing opinions, and you have some good ones as well. And, you know, just kind of, what do you feel about the being able to buy 90s just straight up? I know a lot of you thought that the pre-order thing was good, but what about this? What about just being able to straight up buy them with no limits? Except with how much money you have, of course. Do you think that's ridiculous? Don't you think that maybe we should see some other thing happen? Like, would it be a lot less aggravating if they reduced the sub fees when they did this? Just a thought there. You know, would it feel like if they kind of gave us something in return for this? I kind of feel like that needs to be a thing. Like, we need to get something in return for them doing this if they want to do it. Like reduced sub fees as an example, because otherwise it just feels like, guys, come on, this isn't right. This is not free to play. Please stop trying to do this. It's not good. I don't like it. And again, some of them have been talking about how leveling is grindy and it's a pain and stuff, but fixing it by skipping all of that content, that's not a fix. That's not even remotely a fix. That is a skip. That is just like sweeping the problem under the rug. By skipping it, you haven't made that leveling experience less crap. You have just skipped it. So why don't you just make it faster, or change some of the quests? Because, I mean, let's be honest, you level from 1 to 90 or 1 to 100 with Warlords of Draenor, and those quests are all pretty much the same. Some of those quests, let's be honest, when you reach an occasional different quest, maybe it's like a vehicle quest, or you get to do something weird and awesome, those quests are lovely. Don't you enjoy those quests? Wouldn't you like more of those quests, rather than the, go here and kill 50,000 of these, please? That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. This could go on forever. So what do you think? Should we just, like, should we really be able to skip these? Should we speed up the leveling experience? Or should we maybe just kind of revise some of those quests, make them a bit more interesting than they are. I mean, surely, Blizzard, you've learnt a lot from when you first did Classic WoW, and I know you've reinvented a lot of those zones, but perhaps it's time to kind of speed some of that up. I can imagine, you know, on the one side, I do want those quests to be more fun, and I like what you did with some of those when Cataclysm came out. I didn't like a lot of things in Cataclysm, but I loved the revised quest zones in some places. But should you maybe be retweaking those, or should you be speeding up that leveling process so that you can focus more on the new zones and make those better? Because of course anything you focus on the older zones, that's kind of taking away from the zones that we will be enjoying in Warlords of Draenor. So I'm not sure that revisiting it is the solution. Speeding it up feels a bit weird. Skipping it entirely feels wrong. But again, I want your thoughts on that. And of course, I mentioned it a little bit earlier with the Recruit a Friend. You know, with the Recruit a Friend, why does that feel different? Well, for the first off, you're not skipping the content completely. I mean, it is sped up mind-blowing amounts. It is so much faster, right? It's like, what, 3 times or something ridiculous, and you get like tomes that you can use to level up as well. I mean, it just, you go through it like lightning fast. But the thing is, you still go through it. You don't just skip everything. You level through it at blitz-like speed, but you don't actually skip it completely. You still actually go through that. And some of the other people have been talking a lot about, you know, botters, and Blizzard has to kind of make some changes for that, and that's probably why it's so expensive and stuff. And that's another one of the things I would say, you shouldn't be kind of trying to base your game around the botters too much. Sometimes Blizzard makes changes that hurt a lot of the community, particularly with the gold making, I feel. And it's because they're trying to shut down the botters, when the truth is, the botters are always going to be there. They are a pain, and they are consistently aggravating, but they're always going to be there, and the more you try and shut them out, there are going to be side effects. So maybe you should just kind of relax a little bit about them. Most of the community doesn't like them. They're kind of repulsive, they're annoying, and they're horrible, and we want them to go away, but at the same time, we don't want to continually get hurt by some of the changes that you may be making. And yeah, I'm just kind of one of those things. And someone else said the Scroll of Resurrection as being another thing where this is done. No, this isn't anything like Scroll of Resurrection. The Scroll of Resurrection required you to already have been playing WoW, and then yeah, you got like a free 80 or something, but you already had been playing WoW. This is, anyone can get it at any time for as many times as they want to. So there is that, and of course if you go above level 60 before boosting that character to 90, your profs get instantly leveled to 600, which again, don't really like. Don't like that. Again, we're skipping the zones, we're skipping the leveling, but it's also, thinking of it as a gold-making perspective, I know some of you who don't watch my gold-making series like, oh, what is this guy with the gold? But it is important. I mean, the WoW economy is part of WoW. It's part of what makes WoW so damn awesome. The WoW economy is advanced and it is great. And if people are just skipping the professions, guess what? Demand for low-level goods is kind of going to go down and crash and be terrible. Though obviously not everyone is going to be doing that, and I imagine most people will probably just boost from 1 to 90, seeing as leveling to 60 before boosting will probably feel a little bit weird for most people. So I imagine it's not really going to have too much of an impact, and it feels like they are kind of encouraging people to level a little bit, but giving them profs to 600, I'm not sure that's the best bet. But again, professions do actually need to be fixed, because the more and more expansions we add on, the more and more leveling the professions becomes a massive pain. I mean, think about how many areas you have to visit if you want to level mining now. It's ridiculous. We need to increase the speed at which those professions level, perhaps. And I think that's pretty much everything I really want to discuss in this video. And please, leave your comments, leave your thoughts, whatever they may be, in the comment section below, or on the Facebook and the Twitter. There's links in the description and all that kind of stuff. I'm interested to see what you guys think, just as I was interested to see what you guys thought on the previous video I made, just talking about the instant 90s. You guys have some interesting things to say, and I would love to read them. and perhaps even make a second video if you guys put up enough things that really kind of like make my mind go, wow, I need to talk about this stuff. So please, and of course, if you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, and cheerio.